I'm going to go ahead and do that and share my screen, get that ready. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Let me see. I'm going to stop the music. All right. Can everybody see the screen share full screen? Do I need to pin it or anything?
No, it looks good.
All right. All right, so welcome. I just want to start off with the little mantra of protection and wellness. Om Trayambakam Yajambahe Sugandhu Ushti Vardhanam Mrityor Amritam. Just like a little prayer for wellness. And so I love that the Death Moon, I kind of am in love with this whole series, but every month I'm like, this is my favorite topic, but again, this is my favorite topic. So thank you all for coming. Let's see, hopefully everybody's going to be getting in well. I usually get a couple of messages right at the beginning. There are a couple people having problems with signing in. And I'm going to turn my ringer off just so I don't get too much interruption there. All right. Okay, so we're in the Death Moon. We had the Blood Moon last month, and next month we have the Birth Moon. And I've kind of been, every month we have a sort of newness. So in the pagan wheel of the year, Samhain, or October 31st, Halloween, is sort of marking a new moon, which starts here in the month of November 1st. So another newness. An interesting thing, so in this lunar calendar, the Espets, which are the lunar holidays, where Sabbats are the whole solar holidays, the Espets, there's 13 of them, and plus blue moons. Let's see, so when every 19-year cycle, the Death Moon will actually occur during Yule, and it's usually like a bad omen, but it happens every 19 years. Interestingly, it happened last year in 2020. So, but this year the Death Moon is happening when it normally does in this time period of the month of November. Dealing with death, we have the tarot cards of death, of course, the Tower, and which is major change, renewal, and the unknown. Death is just about transmutation. So it's like when you end something, something else begins. There's this definite consistency to it. It's not just like an end and nothing else. It's like a transformation. So we also see the kings in astrology. They're like the highest amount of potency, of energy. There's one deck that has, instead of page, princess, knight, queen, and all that, it has seer, seeker, sibyl, and sage. And the kings are the equivalents of the sages. They're knowledge holders, and they are ready to release and let go and like leave behind a legacy and behind knowledge. The astrology, we have the sun and moon together in Scorpio right now. This a sign of transformation. It's ruled by Pluto, the planet of the unknown, of rebirth. And we're also moving into Sagittarius, towards Sagittarius and Jupiter. And I wanted to include a little bit about the 13th sign this month, but I was afraid I didn't want to take away from the time of our past life regression that we're going to be going into tonight. So I decided to table that for next month. It's basically a sign that occurs between Scorpio and Sagittarius, and it's interestingly, it's associated with serpents and medicine and snake, snake magic. So it's kind of interesting how it does fit in this time of the year, right between the Scorpio and Sag, the sort of in-between worlds time when the veil is thin. The full moon we have coming up will be in Taurus. Taurus is opposite Scorpio, so that's where we see the full moon. Every month is going to be opposite of the sun, pretty much. So if the sun is in Scorpio, the full moon will be in Taurus, and Taurus is a sign of pleasures and stability. They like to be pampered, so maybe staying home or baking or doing things like some sort of pampering activity. So get sensual and things like that when the upcoming full moon is in 2 weeks, because today is the new moon, so we're going to take 2 weeks till the full moon, and that'll be coming up on Friday, November 19th. Today is Diwali. I've definitely been posting about this, and it's a 5-day festival of lights. So today is the 3rd day, and there's 2 more days. So tomorrow there's some online activities to do if you wanted to get more involved. Last year I was able to go hang out with an Indian family that are friends, and we did some mantra chanting, and we had a nice feast, and they taught me kind of how they celebrate, which is by lighting every light in the house, like every electrical light in the house, lighting candles on the altar. And I never knew the part about opening a window, because it's like inviting in, I guess, like letting in the light and letting darkness go away. So kind of like when you burn sage or something, you want to have like a window open so that you can, whatever is bad can go out, but also so you don't get smoked out. So, it's just an interesting thing that I learned through just being with people that is their culture. So Ganesha is a remover of obstacles and fears and illusions. So right now is a time for letting go and releasing. What this death moon is all about really is letting go, releasing, and Lakshmi is going to be the one once making space for all that, letting go. Then Lakshmi comes in and blesses with wealth, health, good fortune, happiness, all the good yummy things. So that is Lakshmi and Ganesha, and if you would join me now for just a little bit of mantra invoking them. Another reason why it's really good that we're doing this tonight kind of before we talk about the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is good to have sort of like invoking some protective energy, and also if we're going into any kind of meditation where we could have like sort of an out-of-body experience, we want this sort of container of protection. So if you have any like crystals or anything nearby that are particularly mean protection for you, it's a good idea to have a crystal and light a candle as well if you haven't already, or have some kind of fire. Like Amanda's got this beautiful fireplace right in front of her. But we're going to do 3 of these mantras each. So Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha and Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Just invoking Ganesha, and if you want to just listen, that's fine, or say it along with me on mute. Hopefully everybody's muted, otherwise we get a little cut in and cut out issues. But as we're chanting the mantra for Ganesha, think about releasing, letting go, opening, just letting go. And then when we chant for Lakshmi, feel like this white light, feel the blessings, just abundance pouring over you, just like coins are falling from her hand. It's just pouring on you, okay? So we'll go ahead and take a deep breath. Releasing, letting go. And the mantra, Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Letting go, release. Another deep breath. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Feel the blessings raining down and protecting us all around. So I don't know if any of you maybe lost somebody this year, but the Day of the Dead is a time to honor and remember those people, whether they were close to you or just in your circle. So I have some pictures behind me of people that were gone this year and in previous years, sort of on my altar, holding them in thought, lighting candles, giving offerings of water, fruit, flowers, things like that can sort of help, be seen from the other side from them, as time works differently in the spirit world, and if they're still all around, it's just good to, and bringing your own self-comfort. Actually, one of the people on the altar, it's been less than 2 weeks since they passed, so it's pretty fresh. And so Halloween actually means Hallows Eve. The reason we have the word Halloween, it means Hallows Eve. So meaning the day before the Day of the Dead, or All Souls Day. So these silly, seemingly traditions are actually steeped in real tradition. So without further ado, I just want to get started on the Tibetan Book of the Dead, because there's so much to talk about, and I don't want to, again, take up too much time. I want to give us like a solid hour of time for meditation and reflection with Amanda. But the Tibetan Book of the Dead, I became very familiar with in the past, ever since COVID happened. My sound healing teacher, who is from Nepal, always told me, you're going to help me write a book one day. And basically we both never had time because we were always too busy. And when COVID came around, I kind of asked him, I thought it was going to be like something to do with sound healing. He already has a book on sound healing. And he said, I want to record my experience with death, and with his father and his grandfather and his family, and like how the culture in Nepal deals with death. So it started me on this study of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and also the Indian version called the Garud Purana, which is the story kind of told to Garuda, the eagle-headed god, and he sort of goes into the underworld and describes all these worlds that look very similar to like Dante's Inferno, and how they describe like the different circles of hell and things, and sins are very similar along in both those books. They're just called karma in the Buddhist and the Hindu traditions. They're not called sins necessarily, but karma. And each deed, whether it's good or bad, has weight to it and has merits. So the purpose of the book, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is to be read to people after they die. So helping them sort of pass on into the next world. And bardo, the bardo means the intermediate state, and reading this is like the liberation through hearing. So whether the person has any experience at all, they can just hear this and sort of be guided through, like the character in Dante's Inferno, I forget his name. Do feel free to chat in the chat box if you want to share anything, and hopefully we'll just kind of be checking that. So this text was written in the 2nd century before our current era. Padmasambhava was their name, and then it was like rediscovered and written again by Karma Lingpa in the 14th century. And it's a Tibetan text. It was first translated into English in 1927, so we haven't had this information for very long. The basic gist of the whole thing is to not be afraid of the lights, the sounds, and the rays. Like, take refuge in the guides that appear, and to recognize everything you see as illusion, and in order to sort of attain this samadhi state, this like bliss, just kind of either escaping the cycle of rebirth or being born again in like in a beneficial way, not getting stuck in a lower realm, an animal realm. So all these kind of things have got me into, and I've come across this term death doula. If you guys have heard of doulas, a lot of times it's like birth doulas, but there's also death doulas, so people that are there to help people pass and to help the people that stay behind living to like grieve, the grieving process. So I definitely see that as a necessary thing in this culture, and it's something that we don't have. So there are 6 bardos, or these in-between states of non-living, and 3 are living bardos and 3 are non-spirit realms. So the 3 living bardos are in the womb and during birth, in dreams, not all dreams, but some dreams. In French, the word, one of the words for dreams is la petite mort, or the small death. Every time we go to sleep, there's that. We can have the opportunity to go into these states. And then ecstatic samadhi meditation, which would be like kundalini experience during meditation, or like just like a transcendental meditation. And then there are 3 more bardos. The moment before death. A lot of people who have had near-death experiences, they're in this part of the bardo where they've left their body, and it doesn't talk at all about astral travel or astral projection, unless maybe that would be included in the samadhi meditation. Probably that would be more considered a meditation. But so the moment before death, and then experiencing the reality of dharmata, which is basically what most of the book is about. Like, once your body has physically died, what happens after that? And then the last bardo is the seeking rebirth, or the bardo of becoming. And those are really neat. It goes into details, which I won't be able to get into tonight, but it does talk about like how to select the right world, and it describes other worlds and things like that are pretty cool. There are 6 realms, according to this text, you can be born into. You can be born into like a god realm. It's almost like just being in like this heavenly abode. Demigods are like kind of angelic beings and giants. Human animal, hungry ghost, and then hell. So, and that's what the text says in English as the translation. And in the Hindu text, they call it Yama Loka, or like the realm of the devil. Like Yama would be like the devil. This sort of very strangely similar. So I don't know if, they read each other's texts, or if this is all just, channeled from experiences through these different teachings, and they do have a lot of things that overlap, interestingly enough. So the main part of this whole text is basically occurs over a 14-day period or after death. So some people can experience liberation and go straight to the next bardo, like at the moment of death, be enlightened and be Buddha right away. And sometimes people take a little longer. So that's why there's like all these different days. So at the moment of death, what is described is just bewildering lights and rays and sounds of awe. And they say that a lot, like you're going to be overcome with sound, overcome with the lights and the colors. So on the day one, it's the central realm, and that's where you're just going to try to overcome. When it says overcoming ignorance, it's about seeing like the illusion and seeing truth. Day two, if you haven't reached enlightenment and like nothing's clicked, then day two, there's passages each day of what to read to the person who has died. So on the second day, anything that brings up anger in the spirit will come up, so they'll be confronted with anger. So day one is ignorance. So anything that you had as like was your truth, that you're holding on to but is not true, like you're supposed to let go of that on the first day. And that's what the ignorance is like. Oh, just be okay to be like, oh, maybe I wasn't right about everything, or maybe this afterlife or this death isn't what I thought it was. So that's day one. Day two, anything kind of anger or aggression, fighting that resistance, like fighting like no, finding peace, and then you can get enlightened or move to the next bardo. If still day two doesn't work out, you sit with the body on day three just in case. And each of these represent elements. So the first is this element of space, and it's blue. The second is the element of water, and it's white. So similarly to prayer flags, always have 5 colors for the 5 elements. Blue, white for the eastern realm of water, yellow for the southern realm of earth. That's where we need to learn to let go of the ego, of pride, and embrace grace. On day 4, the fire realm, the western realm of fire, letting go of attachment. A lot of times we get attached to, I have to do this, or I have to be there for somebody, or there are these things, these material things in my life that are not taken care of, all these loose ends, which is a good reason to kind of be prepared. Nobody's going to get out of here alive, so it's a good idea to constantly be purging your material possessions, because you don't want to get weighed down by them. When the time does come, that can hold you back, that fire of attachment, so letting go and having that release. And then the northern realm of the green air is letting go of jealousy, and focus on the good deeds and merits that you have done. So not having any regrets and things like that. Day 6 is kind of a scary day if you're still not enlightened after being confronted with all these feelings, these intense feelings, intense sounds, and they describe it like a whooshing, like overcome by these things in the spirit world. Then on the 6th day, all 42 peaceful deities come at once in all directions. Like there's no looking around. The central, the northern, southern, eastern, western, all of these things are there. And in each day there's like a guru or a guide or an angel, whatever your word for it is, there's going to be some sort of apparition there guiding you according to this text. So it's telling you what to let go of and what to go towards. And oftentimes, like in the first day, the ignorance, overcoming ignorance, it'll kind of show you something tempting, and it's the Deva Loka. It's like basically where you're just going to be reborn into another earthly form, but where there is also the option of just liberation and becoming enlightened. So they kind of say like, oh, you don't want to be reborn, you'd rather be enlightened, is kind of how this book goes. But if you are going to be reborn, they have some like different things, like don't go here, go there. And that's how this book is kind of laid out. It's pretty interesting. So day 6, all 42 peaceful deities come in at once, total bewilderment. And it's all coming from your heart, all these peaceful deities, or peaceful beings, which are, in fact, your own construct. So in Buddhism is like non-theistic, even though you see like deities, they're mostly like bodhisattvas that have been alive, and we're just like, yay, they got enlightened. But there's not like denying or saying there is or isn't a God. It's kind of irrelevant, because the whole purpose, according to Buddhism, is just to follow the Dharma and do the practice, have a good life. It's like whether there is or isn't a God, it's not really important. Is the important part is that you're doing good for your soul, for your soul's sake. So all of these feelings, these anger, pride, attachment, jealousy, it's all your own construct. It's nothing that's being done to you. Like you are your own judge. And this text is just kind of showing you the way to let go of that. So if you don't become liberated in the first 6 days, on the 7th through 14th days are just the same elements, the same realms, but in their wrathful forms. So it gets more scary. So if you can't overcome them in the first week, the second week they take on their wrathful looks, and again you have each time the opportunity to become liberated before moving on. So eventually it kind of ends in you going to another bardo, which would be spending a lot of time in any one of those realms, whether it's a ghost or hell or animal or rebirth as humans, rebirth in a god realm, any of that. So this little hourglass is really interesting. If you want to zoom in and just kind of take a look at that real quick. It starts at the top at the end of this life, like the moment of death, and the bardo of dying, death of confusion. The 5 senses go in this order: first sight, then sound, then smell, then taste, then touch. Then there's the white appearance and the red increase, then the black attainment. That's the death of the inner body. So first the death of the outer body, the 5 senses, the 5 elements, then the death of the inner body. Then that moment there where the hourglass comes together is the point of dharmata. And that's when all of that stuff happens, that 14 days and all the lights and the sounds and the rays are going to happen at that point, and that bardo. And then you enter the bardo of becoming, or which is, so right before you're conceived, there's an opposite effect of these, the black attainment, red increase, white appearance. Then subtle space comes in, subtle wind, subtle fire, subtle water, subtle earth. and then conception happens. So the birth of the mental body happens first, and that's that bardo of becoming, and then that moment of conception or whenever, then you go into the bardo of the womb space. So that brings us to the topic of reincarnation, and I'm guessing that some, you guys are here for this lovely offering that we have with Amanda, this opportunity to do this past life regression meditation, to maybe find out something about our past life and find out how it's affecting this life currently. Maybe there are people in our lives now that were in previous lives with us before, and just kind of get some insight there. So yeah, I'm going to take a moment to, if you haven't already, remove all distractions, silent your phones, let your family know that you're going to be doing a meditation. It's going to be for the next hour or so. And then just make sure you have a nice safe space wherever you are. The lights should be low. So if you turned on all your lights for Diwali, lower all the lights, and make a sort of safe space in whatever way you can. Make sure you're going to be warm enough. You've got clothes, your socks on maybe, or a blanket, because we're going to be resting and slowing the body down, so it's really easy to get cold. Be sure that you're breathing deeply and, you are in a safe space. Grab those crystals if you want, and make sure you have your journal handy. And at this time, I'm going to actually turn it over to Amanda. I'm going to be participating in the meditation. So Amanda's going to be in charge of timekeeping and making sure that we all get back safely. And I do ask that everyone does kind of check back in once you're done with we're done with the meditation, just in the chat room, to make sure we know you're awake, especially if you're not, if we can't see your picture or anything like that. All right. Any questions, just go into the chat. And Amanda, go ahead and take over. I'm going to stop.
Hey, everyone. So hold on, let me make sure I can see where the chat is. Okay, cool. So I've been doing past life regressions for like 4 years now. I also did hypnosis training, which led me to past life regressions. I've never done them in a group setting before, so I think there's going to be a little adjustments. I do want to say that typically in a one-on-one session, it's a lot like a guided meditation, if you will. But in a one-on-one session, I would ask questions to help you get deeper into that past life. And with a one-on-one session, it's like an hour or 2 to 2 hours. And we usually explore like 3 different lives within those 2 hours. But again, it's like we're having a conversation about what you're experiencing. So it's sort of like a lucid dream, if you will. You are in total control. So if something is too triggering or too much and you need to come out of it, you're totally capable of doing that. And so really, if that does happen, just roll over to the side, do some deep breathing, get out your journal and start writing down what happened. And if you feel comfortable, we can talk about it after, or reach out to Roma and I about it, or a therapist if needed. So yeah, during the group one, I will not ask questions for obvious reasons. So I just encourage you to allow yourself to just really think about how you can go deeper into that space. So if something is coming up for you that's not too troubling, just ask yourself, how can I get deeper into this? How can I get more out of this? and use it as a playground, right? So again, thinking back to like the idea of lucid dreaming, if you're lucid in a dream, you're awake in a dream, right? So this is kind of you now have an opportunity to do that in a way. So allowing yourself to explore the territory of where you're at. And so basically we're going to begin like a guided meditation. I'm going to walk you through. We'll probably have enough time to go through definitely one life. It's going to be a mini one life, if you will. And we're going to also, just so that you're aware, at the end, experience the death in that life. And so again, I'm going to try my best to navigate that as a group. But I just want you guys to know where we're going with this. Before I begin, I do want to touch base if anybody is afraid of escalators, stairs, or elevators. And if you are, just write in the chat yes, and I can change those words for you. We all good there? Cool. Okay. So I will say as well, sometimes just like with elevators, so no elevators. Okay, cool. Just like dreams, sometimes when you wake up from the dream, you remember everything. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes when you come, that's why we have that journal. Sometimes when you come out of it, you'll remember it right away. So go ahead and start writing. If you don't remember anything, that is totally okay too. It may come to you at a later date. And if it does, and you need to talk about anything, reach out to me or Roma. Okay, so let's begin. Roma already talked you guys into creating your space and getting comfy, but go ahead and allow yourself to actually really get comfy. Give yourself permission to close your eyes if it feels comfortable. And taking a moment to remember any protection mechanisms that you put in place for your energy, for your body, for your spirit. And take a moment to call in any angels, guides, whatever it is that you love to call in to protect your space and to protect you in this moment and as you journey. As we tap into these past lives, as we move into a different space, you may want to call in animals or colors. And allow your energy to ground into the earth, all the way to the core of the earth. Allowing yourself to still feel embodied, still feeling connected. And take this moment to take a deep inhale through the nose, filling up the belly. And as the belly falls, exhaling through the mouth slowly. Taking another deep inhale through the nose, filling up the belly. And exhaling through the mouth. Allowing the eyes to sink into the skull. And bringing your breath all the way to the toes and the feet. Feet relax. Bringing the breath into the ankles. Ankles relax. Calves relax. Knees relax. Thighs relax. Hips relax. The belly relax. The chest relax. Shoulders move away from the ears and relax. The upper arms relax. The lower arms relax. The wrists relax. The palms of the hands relax. Fingers relax. The throat relax. The back of the neck relax. The teeth separate. The jaw relax. Nose relax. Ears relax. Eyes relax. Forehead relax. The crown of the head relax. The entire head is now relaxed. The whole body is now relaxed. The whole body is relaxed. Now, take several deep breaths of relaxation. Each time, holding the breath to the count of 3. And exhale slowly. Now, breathe normally and repeat to yourself in your head, I am calm, I am relaxed. I am calm, I am relaxed. Repeat these affirmations every time your mind wanders or another thought enters your awareness. Now let's journey through your body to ensure every muscle and every cell is completely relaxed. If there's any extra muscles that you notice that are tense, allowing your energy to go there, repeating, I am calm, I am relaxed. Now in this moment, know, feel, sense, or see yourself standing at the top of an escalator. And when you see the escalator, step on to it. The escalator begins to move downward as it takes you deeper into your consciousness. As you move downward, I will count down from 10 to 1. And with each number I count, you will feel yourself going deeper and deeper, feeling safe, feeling protected, and relaxed. 10, 9, 8, going deeper, feeling safe, feeling protected. 7, 6, 5, 4, deeper and deeper and more relaxed. 3, 2, 1. Now there's another escalator in front of you. You will go even deeper, all the way down to the depth of your consciousness. Again, step onto the escalator as I count down from 10 to 1. 10, 9, 8, feeling safe and protected. 7, 6, 5, 4, deeper and deeper down. 3, 2, 1. Now you are in a beautiful train station, and right in front of you is a train. Its doors begin to open. Quickly board the train and find a seat by the window. Take a moment to gaze out the window. Notice any sights or sounds. You notice the train is slowly leaving the station. It's taking you to a specific time in another life where healing is needed. The train is picking up speed, going faster and faster, further and further back into time, back into another time, another place, another you. The train stops. You get up and move to the door. You've arrived at your destination, another life. The door open. The doors open and you step out into another time, another place, another you. Take a moment to close your eyes and allow your senses to adjust as you step off the train. Now become aware of the weather. Determine if it's warm, cold, hot, dry, wet, or whatever it may be. Now look down at your feet. What are you wearing on your feet, if anything at all? Notice the ground. Is there a ground? Slowly bring your awareness up your body. And tell me if you are male or female. Take notice. Take notice of your age. Ask yourself, what am I wearing? Notice your physical appearance. Maybe look around and find water or a mirror-like object to help you discover what you look like in this life. Maybe even you see other beings around you, humans or not. You can ask for their assistance. Notice your geographical location. Where are you? Look around. Are you on Earth or are you somewhere else? What year is it? Now is a great time to allow yourself to be lucid. Look around and describe what is happening to yourself. What's going on in your environment? As you become more attuned to your environment, you can begin to ask questions of who, what, when, where. You can begin to travel to significant events in this life that you are here to heal. So maybe ask, bring me to the most significant event in this life that I need to heal, that I came here to learn from. What can I bring back from this experience? What do I get to let go of in this experience? How can I use the energy of rebirthing in this life? Now I'll give you some time to move about your environment, remembering to ask questions to dig deeper. Allow yourself to expand and explore. Now begin to collect any last minute details of this life. Beginning to end any conversations, giving thanks to the experience, for the guidance. Now in this moment, skip forward to the hour before your death in this life, in this past life. What is happening? Is there anyone there? Where are you? And as you are at the hour before your death, let's review the entire life for a moment. What is the purpose or mission for this life? What lessons did you learn? What lessons were you supposed to learn? What changes would you make? This life is over now. It's okay now to let this life go. See, feel, or sense bright coral white light flowing into your head and third eye to expand your understanding of this life and its purpose. Know all faulty perceptions held for this life is released. Now see, feel, or sense bright blue white light flowing into your heart and solar plexus to fill you with all the healing and love you need. Know all negative emotions held for this life are released. Now move forward to that time you began to leave the physical plane. What part of your essence was most affected in this life? See, sense, or feel that part of your essence that was affected, being embraced by bright light and filled with the energies of healing and love. Feel any damage, any negative life forms of any kind, any artificial intelligence, anything that does not belong to your divine imprint, leaving now. What decision, vow, assumption, contract, agreement, judgment, or promise do you make as you experience the death process? Now, if there is a vow or decision or judgment about this death process, ask yourself if you would like to change, if you would like to change that. And if so, now see, feel, or sense bright white light flowing into that vow or decision in the past, present, future, and parallel lives, transmuting the negative energy into positive energy, breaking your connection with that vow forever. Now, relax and move into the spiritual plane. Feel your entire essence moving up into the light with you. As your entire essence moves into the bright light, begin to feel released, free, new. If you had any illness in the body during your past life, leave every sensation and every symptom of that illness in that body. Leave it behind you. That is no longer your body. Leave the pain of death in there where it belongs. Leave the sensations of every condition in that body as you separate from it. That is no longer yours. And I now ask that any soul scars be healed. And take a moment to feel the difference in the spiritual plane as compared to the physical plane. Spend a few moments exploring, adjusting, and reflecting on the past life. Now move to the highest point you can in this plane. Relax and allow yourself to be surrounded by light and healing. Know that all healing is complete. Now send your love and say a silent thank you for this spiritual experience and healing. Now return to the train. Enter the train and find a seat by a window. Reflect upon and absorb your experience. Bring back only the positive energy and positive feelings. Feel yourself being more peaceful, happier, and healthier than ever. Sense the train is leaving the station, moving toward your present lifetime. Now the train returns to the station where you began your trip. The train stops and you move into the station towards the escalator. Step onto the escalator going up. Return to the present time and place as I count up from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3. Coming back. 4, 5. Feeling good. Returning to the body. 6, 7. Energy is returning. 8, 9, 10. Feeling completely returned into the space where you began. Beginning to sense the room around you. You may keep the eyes shut and just start to visualize what your room looks like. Beginning to move fingers and toes. Breathing into the heart and into the belly. Feeling completely embodied, feeling grounded into the space. Returning, returning, returning. All right. So just taking a moment to journal if you feel like you need to. This can be like a dream where it feels like you're going to remember everything, and then you like really snap out of it and you realize that you forgot all of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Amanda, so much. So relaxing. I'd love to hear anything, if anyone wants to share their experience, if anyone was able to get any sort of feelings or ideas of what may have happened to them in another life. We can raise hands, chat. I'm going to give everyone a chance to share that wants to share. I mean, I guess I could go first since no one is sharing. I did get a few, like I've done the past life regressions, meditations and hypnosises by myself and with other people. And this time I had an experience I've never felt before. I felt like I was in somewhere, it was warm and dry climate, and there was this big cliff, and it was by the water, and there was this beach, like a round beach alcove, and there was a big ship that came in, and I remember feeling like my wrists and my ankles were tied together. And then I think I was put in the water. I think I drowned. I never really experienced that, but that was kind of the feelings I was getting tonight. So thank you for sharing that. I felt like, I love that you were like, well, what was the purpose of this life? And I feel like in that time I was getting this feeling like I shouldn't have trusted these people. I let them in, like this is my fault. I felt guilty and like trust issues. So thanks for letting me share.
That's really cool. I did find it a little difficult to do it in a group setting, because normally in that experience I would walk you through that, those feelings that were coming up, and then so you would have been potentially a deeper healing out of that. Does that make sense? So I say that only too because this is like probably the shortest past life regression I've ever done because of the timing, and too it's like a group one. So I do want to just bring up that the one-on-one ones are like really in depth. Like I walk you, it's like we're having a conversation the whole time, and asking questions and getting you to those spaces so that they can be healed on every level. And obviously at the end, when we went through that death, you had a chance to heal them on every level. But I just want to share that it's like when it's one-on-one, it's like it can be a totally different experience. So if somebody like you who went through, like, that sounds potentially pretty traumatic, right? Like, so I would have liked to help you through that. And I'm happy that you've had prior experience, so it probably wasn't as scary. But thank you for sharing. That sounds like you can really, go back to that space and figure out like what happened, maybe even more, like maybe where it went wrong, or whatever. I always like to travel back to them, even though I went, I've done some healing, but I always like to travel back to them as like a remembrance in some spaces, not all of them, but sometimes.
I'm going to, let's see, I don't know if I can stop the recording from here in case if anyone's comfortable sharing at this point. It is still being recorded, but I think I have to go in the other room to stop the recording on my laptop. Jen, is that what you're saying? You want me to stop the recording so you can share?
I'm okay sharing with the recording going. I just didn't know if like you wanted it to be
Sure.
recording still. So it was an interesting experience for me. I didn't think I was gonna get anything out of it because you know where I am and there's like shooting going on nearby, which is kind of intense for trying to go into a place like that. But um when I like got off the train, it was really beautiful and the buildings were old and like I was barefoot and the road was like big pieces of like rock that was like laid down. And I was like a 6 or 7 year old little boy and I didn't see anybody there. And it's like really weird because like I just knew it was like some kind of a war going on or fighting of some kind. So kind of thought it was interesting that there was like gunshots going on right where I'm going. Um, Even though it wasn't like a gunshot type of war, like I think it was before guns were like around. And there's a whole part of it that I have no recollection. I don't know
Mm.
how I died. I don't know what happened. It was like all black. Then when I came to you, I remember hearing something like, what was like the point of this? And it was like, I can see some of the like themes that I've kind of relived in this life. There's just like a lot of like loss and like poverty and homelessness and just some very interesting um deep seated things that I just kind of see in my life now. So I felt kind of like the point of it is to kind of just like shed light on like these um things can be broken and just because they were experienced like in a past life doesn't mean that they need to be like lessons that are continually repeated and then they can be like broken and released so that I could create something new and different for myself in my life now. And I feel like kind of like what you said, Roma, there's a lot of like distrust. Like I think it's interesting. I never saw anyone. And then there's just like this feeling of like, not being able to trust and then like just loss of like everyone, family, friends, everything. So I don't know, that was very interesting. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for sharing.
Welcome. Thank you.
For anyone else, we have time for maybe a couple more.
Sure, I'll share. I've never done something like that, and it was really cool to experience. I loved being guided with your voice, Amanda. I loved the
Thank you.
prompting of I loved the journey. I loved traveling like in my imagination with it. I mean, it felt so new. I didn't really know like what to expect, so it kind of unfolded like a movie. Just kind of cinematic in my mind to see the details that were being created from what you were asking and what you were prompting, and just letting my mind kind of unfold because I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right, or I don't know what this is. But then as soon as I let that go, um, everything you were saying from the escalator, on to the train, it just led my imagination into just so many cool places that started actually crazily enough with your daughter's face, with Indy's face and my face, and like being a child and being a little girl. And I don't know exactly what the relevance of that was, like your daughter, like being your daughter and being like, but looking like me. Um, and then getting off the train and being at the beach. And then when you really guided us into what the life was, it was really a creature of the sea, like, and over in my mind there was like this rotation of like, I don't know if I was like a sea creature or a mermaid or whatever I was, but all I saw was my torso and the lower half of my body doing like a spiral in the crest of a wave, like just like this really strong sea creature that kept able to kind of spin in the waves, and that was really powerful. I was like, wow, this is just amazing. It was like my physical body was just dealing with the physicalness of the waves, like just being powerful and being able to like be in it. And then I found how I, when you asked about the death of this life, it was like seeing this creature just laid out at sea and very tangled in seaweed, but surrounded by like these beautiful creatures. And that was the most incredible part when you asked what the resonance or relevance, I can't remember what the words you said, but the relevance of the death and what was in this life that had been, and it was like the tangling of the seaweeds and the water logging and the like heaviness, um that was just fascinating because it was it was my mind just going to this place, that I just didn't expect to go, and I don't, because I've just never done that. So I was like, oh, maybe just not knowing what I was doing or what to expect really helped me just sort of go there. And so that was just really fascinating. And now I'm just left thinking about what was the symbolism of being tangled and waterlogged, and just how powerful I was at sea. Like, and just it's fascinating. So I couldn't wait to write it all down. It's like trying to keep myself like in that deep space and not wanting to not forcing myself out too fast to write, but I wanted to write it all down.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I think Megan has her hand raised.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It was quite an experience. This overall, on many aspects, is a first for me. But more and more in the last few months, I've, been in tune to seeing something and realizing it's some sort of message or sign. But what I recall being on the train before stepping out is a weird thought due to a conversation I had yesterday with an IT friend, and how IT folks don't relate to a more spiritual sense, because how could they not, due to the fact of how all these computers, even the way that we're all communicating now. And during my experience, it was almost like I was at Patapsco State Park on one of the higher ridges, one of the higher trails. And at the time of the death, of dying, of passing, it was like I just kind of tripped and trampled on the side of the trail and was just on the hillside looking up with the fall leaves. I recall, with the blue and white light just going down to the water, sitting on the rocks, as I typically do nowadays. And once going up the elevator to go jot my notes down on my computer, just not having pen and paper with me, I open it up and I just see this blue and white on my screen. And I'm sorry if it's too technical or whatnot, but then how Google has a story every day. Well, it was the creator of fiber optics, and it was blue and white imagery. And today is his birthday. So I just kind of like don't know what that means. But it was just very much, I appreciate the connections and knowing that the thoughts that I have day in and day out are connected to something and some meaning or somehow, or, they're a direction to go. So like I said, it's my first experience with any of this, but it's just kind of, I have my mother on here too, and she experienced this with us today. And the last thing I texted her before jumping on this was signs. I'm not denying them anymore. So it was just very like reassuring, that when we do pay attention, like it is there. whether it's here in real life, face to face, or in another realm or at another time. So that was a really neat experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan, for joining and bringing your mom too.
Thank you.
Sharon or Anya, if you want to share any little thing, you have time.
Hi, thank you so much. This was so just amazingly relaxing, first of all. Like, I just like, I was like I was looking for a mirror and I couldn't find one. I was like, looked at my feet and there was like cobblestone and I could like, and then I was like, when I first opened my eyes, I couldn't tell if like I was the little boy that I was seeing or like if I was something else. And like, so like really like looking down at my body was really helpful. And then like all of a sudden you're like, okay, now it's over. And I was like, wait, what happened to everything in between? Like looking for the mirror part, I couldn't like identify who I was, and then just was not like there anymore, and just was very respectful. But yeah, thank you so much. So I can't wait. I hope things will start to pop up and I can explore that more.
I did notice there's past life regression hypnosis on YouTube and things like that. If you're interested. The only thing is you always want to be protected in your space. And I just would worry about, getting brought back properly. That's why I'm like just making sure everybody's back here and back on.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was not trying to come back apparently.
Yeah, it's a good thing we're not all getting in cars.
Yeah. I wanted to touch base sometime so I don't typically enjoy meditation so much because it puts me because I'm not having that conversation. So I say this because I'll go to that like blankness and I'll just fall asleep. So Anya, in a one-on-one, the questions will actually keep you there. So you're sort of in that in-between space, but you're still conscious and we're having a conversation. So it won't, so in a typical hypnosis, if you're going to do it with another person, like Roma was saying, not necessarily on YouTube, you'll have a full-on conversation that will keep you present in the moment to help you explore that. So I just wanted to let you know that that's possible. Like you can get deeper and you won't basically you're passing out, probably because you're tired, which we all are, right? But the questions and stuff will keep you in that moment to help you explore deeper.
Are you available for sessions? Can I get your information? And is that something that is, I'm sure I'd have to pay you for it, but that's okay.
Yeah, we can talk. Yep. That sounds
Okay,
good.
cool. Thank you.
Amanda, can you put in the chat, or actually even in the group? I think everybody is in the group, the group circles. If you want to put it in the chat in here so that these people hear for sure, because I don't think I have a couple of these people's information.
I can do that.
Well, yeah, it's just like an email or something they can reach out.
I can share a little bit about my experience too. So it was really interesting because it was like things were uncovered little by little. And well, at first it was kind of like I was in this forest and I didn't exactly know who or what I was. It felt like I was human-like, but then I couldn't really see any of my features. But then as it passed, as time passed or as meditation passed, I would understand more aspects, and then I realized that I was kind of like this spirit or essence of like this forest. And I don't know, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was that like there was these symbols that kept coming up, but I didn't really, I don't know if I was ever able to really understand what they meant. So I was gonna ask you, Amanda, like when there's like these repeating like images in like when you're in the meditation, is that like something that is usually something that needs to be like worked out or like understood, or what does it usually mean? I mean, yeah, as I'm being a little vague, but I don't know if you want to ask me something that might help, or just in general what you think about it.
Yeah, I think that if we were in a session and you were talking about them and you
Yeah.
seemed called to talk about them, we could, I could have asked some questions to help you explore it in a different way, to maybe
Mhm.
even help you identify what was happening and what they looked like. And then what I do want to share this too, I usually write down the whole thing. So I'll write down my questions and I'll write down your answers. So I'll and so I could have like drawn out the images.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, obviously they're coming up for you for a reason. Why that is, I don't know. But we could explore it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that was also cool was when you mentioned like the aspect of anything that we want to like change, and it was like I was able to redo a whole scene that was kind of like very angry into like something that was peaceful. So that was a pretty cool experience as well. Thank you.
That is really, yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks for sharing, Mariana. All right, so I'm gonna stop the recording. Next month we're doing birth moon. So it'll be in December, the new moon, and we'll have Alicia talking about doula-ing from the birth perspective. And there's going to be a lot of Q&A. I haven't really formed completely for us yet, but stick around and we'll see what comes up next month. All right. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.